In the quiet embrace of early afternoon, the whispering forest stretched endlessly beneath a sky brushed with soft clouds that filtered the sun's gentle light. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and the subtle perfume of wildflowers hidden deep within the underbrush. Towering trees, ancient sentinels draped in moss and lichen, arched high above, their leaves weaving a variegated canopy that danced with dappled sunlight. Each leaf shimmered as a breeze passed, releasing a chorus of soft rustles that seemed to speak in a language known only to the forest itself. The trunks stood thick and gnarled, their bark textured with the passage of countless seasons. Some bore the delicate fingerprints of climbing ivy, while others were etched with the slow, deliberate growth of fungi, their caps a patchwork of earthy browns and muted greens. Beneath them, the forest floor was a living mosaic, fallen leaves decomposed into rich soil, patches of vibrant moss cushioning the ground like a natural carpet, and tiny shoots pushing upward, eager to claim their place in the sun's reach. A narrow trail, almost hidden beneath the weave of roots and scattered needles, snaked its way through the dense undergrowth. It was not a path marked by human footsteps but one carved by the subtle passage of time and the quiet journeys of creatures small and large. The trail beckoned quietly, its presence barely perceptible to the casual observer, yet unmistakable to those who attuned their senses to the forest's murmurs. It twisted and turned, sometimes disappearing under thick ferns or curling around the base of a towering oak, then reappearing like a secret invitation. Along the edges of the trail, delicate wildflowers nodded gently, their petals catching the soft light and glowing with hues of lavender, pale yellow and pristine white. Fern fronds unfurled slowly, their delicate patterns like the brushstrokes of an unseen artist. Here and there, the faint glimmer of spiderwebs caught droplets of dew, sparkling like a scattering of tiny stars caught in the weave of branches. The forest breathed with an almost sentient rhythm. Every rustle, every sigh of the wind through the leaves, was a whispered secret shared among the trees and carried gently from one branch to another. The birds, hidden high in the canopy, trilled soft melodies, notes that wove through the air like threads of silver light, enhancing the forest's quiet song. Occasionally, the flutter of wings or the cautious step of a small creature stirred the stillness, reminding the watcher that life thrived in every shadow and hollow. Amidst this living cathedral, the air felt charged with an ancient energy. It was as though the forest held memories too deep for words, stories told not through sound but through the slow, deliberate growth of bark and leaf, through the intricate patterns of moss and the gentle decay of fallen trees. Time itself seemed to move differently here, slowed by the weight of centuries and the patient unfolding of nature's endless cycles. The trail, elusive and winding, was more than a mere passageway. It was a whisper itself, a thread connecting the tangible and the unseen. To follow it was to listen closely, to lean into the quiet murmurings that danced just beyond the edge of perception. It promised discovery not through sudden revelations but through subtle shifts, the way light changed when the sun slid behind a cloud, the fleeting glimpse of a deer's shadow between the trees, the soft warmth that seeped into the skin when standing still long enough to become part of the forest's pulse. Moss-clad stones, rounded from years of rain and time, marked the trail's occasional pauses. They bore the delicate embroidery of lichen, their surfaces telling slow, evolving stories in shades of pale green and silver. Nearby, tiny mushrooms pushed upwards from the rich soil, their caps fragile and translucent, catching the light like miniature lanterns. Every detail was a note in the forest's ongoing symphony, a harmony of growth, decay, and renewal that played endlessly beneath the watchful boughs. The whispering trees themselves seemed to lean closer, their branches entwined like fingers in conversation. Their leaves flickered and shimmered, reflecting the subtle changes in light and shadow. Occasionally, a breeze would carry a faint scent, a trace of pine resin, the sweetness of wild berries, or the earthy tang of fresh rain, each a reminder of the forest's many layers and textures. Deeper within, the undergrowth thickened, weaving a tapestry of ferns, brambles, and wild herbs that rustled softly with the movement of unseen creatures. The trail disappeared beneath this canopy, becoming more a suggestion than a clear route. It was a path that required patience and attentiveness, a willingness to slow down and walk in harmony with the forest's own measured pace. Around a bend, the sound of running water teased the ears. A brook hidden by thick brush, its presence hinted at by the gentle burble of clear water flowing over smooth stones. The trail curved toward the sound but remained shy, never revealing the stream fully, instead offering glimpses through breaks in the foliage. A flash of sunlight on water, the glint of a fish slipping beneath the surface. The forest seemed alive not just with growth but with memory. The faint impressions of old roots, the hollowed trunks that once sheltered birds and small mammals, the soft decomposing leaves all contributed to a landscape shaped by countless lives and seasons. Within this quiet, the trail was a living thread, a subtle invitation to become part of the forest's unfolding story. Every so often, a shaft of sunlight pierced the canopy, illuminating a patch of forest floor in golden light. In these moments the moss seemed to glow, and the leaves shimmered with an almost ethereal vibrancy. The air was cooler here, touched by the shade and the forest's deep calm. It was a place where time slowed, and the outside world's noise faded into a distant murmur. The trail's narrowness and winding nature made it easy to overlook, yet it held a gentle insistence, a persistent call to those who would listen. It asked for quiet footsteps, for eyes to notice the small wonders, the flutter of a butterfly's wings, the delicate veins on a leaf, the subtle shifts in the forest's song. It promised no grand revelation, only the slow unfolding of connection, a deepening awareness of the forest's hidden life. In this place, the whispering forest was not merely a collection of trees and plants but a living being, breathing and speaking in a language of rustles and shadows. The trail was its voice, faint but persistent, inviting wanderers to come close and listen, to heed the murmurs that drifted on the breeze and to find the stories woven into bark, leaf, and stone. The forest's secrets were not shouted but whispered, discovered in the quiet moments between footsteps, in the gentle dance of light and shadow, in the soft sigh of leaves stirred by the wind. Here, beneath the ancient boughs, time was measured not by clocks or calendars, but by the slow, steady heartbeat of the earth. Steady, patient, eternal. And so the trail lay waiting, a narrow ribbon of possibility winding through the green cathedral, inviting those who dared to follow its subtle call into the deep and gentle mystery of the whispering forest. As the sun began its slow descent toward the horizon, casting a warm amber glow that softened the edges of the forest, a solitary figure appeared at the fringe of the whispering forest. Dust clung to his boots and coat, a faint trace of distant roads and forgotten towns carried in the fabric of his worn leather jacket. His movements were unhurried, deliberate, as if he bore no urgency, but rather a quiet purpose that resonated with the gentle pulse of the woodland. Stepping carefully beneath the canopy, he paused for a moment, inhaling the rich scent of pine and damp earth. The forest seemed to hold its breath, welcoming the newcomer with a muted rustle of leaves and a faint chorus of unseen birdsong. The light filtered softly through the trees, touching his face with a golden caress as he adjusted the strap of his satchel and turned his gaze toward the narrow trail that wove like a secret thread through the undergrowth. There was a reverence in his steps, a mindfulness that allowed him to move in harmony with the forest's quiet rhythm. Each footfall was placed with care, avoiding the brittle twigs and the soft moss that cushioned the ground, as though he sought to disturb as little as possible the delicate balance of life beneath the towering trees. The trail, elusive and winding, welcomed him like an old friend, guiding him deeper into the heart of the woods without haste or demand. His eyes flicked from one detail to another, the way a spider's web glistened with the last remnants of dew, stretched with intricate precision between slender branches, the cool, delicate touch of fern fronds brushing against his sleeve as he passed, the subtle shimmer of a butterfly's wings catching the fading light as it flickered through the air. Each sensation was absorbed fully, a quiet communion with the living tapestry surrounding him. The crunch of dry leaves beneath his boots punctuated the stillness, a gentle reminder of his presence in this ancient realm. Yet the forest did not shy away. Rather, it seemed to embrace him, as if acknowledging a kindred spirit who moved not as an intruder, but as a guest invited to partake in its slow narrative. The soft rustle of small creatures in the underbrush hinted at hidden life, rabbits retreating silently, the flicker of a squirrel's tail as it darted among the branches, each sound woven seamlessly into the forest's ongoing symphony. Light and shadow played delicately across his path, shifting with the steady descent of the sun. Here and there, shafts of golden light pierced the canopy, illuminating patches of moss and the intricate patterns of bark, drawing his gaze to the small wonders often overlooked. His fingers brushed lightly against the rough surfaces of tree trunks, feeling the textured stories inscribed by time, grooves carved by weather and wildlife, the gentle swell of new growth pushing through old scars. The wanderer's breath slowed and deepened, syncing with the forest's measured cadence. He moved not with the haste of a traveler seeking destination, but with the unhurried grace of one who listens, to the whisper of leaves, the faint murmur of distant water, the soft murmurings of the earth beneath his feet. Each step was a deliberate act of presence, a way of dissolving boundaries between self and forest, blending into the quiet living rhythm. Moments stretched and folded upon themselves as he paused beside a fallen log draped in emerald moss, the air thick with the scent of decay and renewal. He knelt, tracing the delicate outlines of miniature plants sprouting from the softened wood, their fragile leaves unfolding like tiny hands reaching for the light. A beetle crept slowly across the surface, its shiny shell reflecting the fading sun, a small world moving with purpose in the vastness of the forest. The shadows lengthened, and the temperature dipped slightly, the cool breath of evening threading through the branches. The wanderer wrapped his coat more tightly around him, the worn leather creaking softly as he resumed his path. The trail narrowed further, winding between ancient oaks whose roots twisted and knotted like the hands of time itself. Here the air was thick with the scent of pine resin and the earthy musk of damp soil, each inhalation grounding him deeper into the forest's embrace. A delicate spiderweb stretched taut between two slender branches, shimmered in the last light, its silken threads catching a stray beam like strands of silver. The wanderer lingered, marveling at the fragile artistry woven in silence and patience, a testament to the unseen lives thriving in the shadows. Nearby, a cluster of wildflowers nodded gently, their petals trembling in the soft breeze, releasing a faint sweet fragrance that mingled with the scent of pine. The forest sound shifted subtly as he moved deeper, the distant calls of songbirds replaced by the quieter rustle of leaves, and the occasional snap of a twig underfoot. The wanderer's senses heightened, attuned to the delicate balance of life unfolding in this secluded world. He noticed the faint shimmer of a moth's wings as it flitted past, the soft rustling of small mammals concealed within the undergrowth, the gentle sway of branches overhead responding to the evening wind. Each interaction with the environment was a thread in a growing tapestry of connection, small but significant moments that wove the wanderer into the fabric of the forest's existence. The crunch of his footsteps was tempered by a growing awareness of the delicate ecosystem beneath and around him, a silent promise to walk lightly, to honor the intricate dance of life that thrived in the shadows and light. As twilight deepened, the trail led him past a cluster of smooth stones, their surfaces worn by rain and time, moss and lichen inscribing slow, intricate patterns upon them. He paused here, resting a hand on the cool stone, feeling the steady heartbeat of the forest beneath its surface. The quiet was profound, broken only by the distant murmur of a hidden creek, and the soft sigh of leaves stirred by a gentle breeze. Above, the sky shifted from golden hues to deeper shades of rose and lavender. The first stars began to glimmer faintly through the thinning canopy, their distant light a subtle counterpoint to the forest's intimate darkness. The wanderer tilted his head upward, absorbing the vastness beyond the trees, even as he remained rooted in the quiet mystery of the trail below. His coat, weathered and worn, carried the faint scent of smoke and travel, a reminder of journeys past. Yet here, surrounded by the ancient trees and the soft murmurs of the forest, he seemed to find a different kind of belonging. The pace of the world slowed, the clamor of distant cities and roads faded into memory, replaced by the steady, unhurried rhythm of nature's pulse. The trail welcomed him forward, its narrow twists and shaded turns inviting further exploration, but the wanderer moved with patience, savoring each step, each whisper of sound and brush of leaf. There was no need for haste, no desire for destination, only the quiet joy of presence, the unfolding sense of harmony between traveler and woodland. In this moment, the forest was not merely a backdrop but a living companion, its textures and sounds forming a delicate dialogue with the wanderer's steady breath and measured footsteps. The interplay of light and shadow, the subtle chorus of life both seen and unseen, wove a tapestry of quiet wonder, drawing him deeper into the heart of the whispering forest. The path ahead remained veiled in mystery, promising discoveries that would come not in grand gestures but in gentle revelations, the flicker of movement in the twilight, the scent of earth and pine mingling on the cool air, the soft murmur of leaves in the gathering dusk. With each step, the wanderer embraced the forest's silent invitation, walking slowly into the intimate embrace of the woodland's unfolding story. Deeper into the whispering embrace of the forest, the wanderer's footsteps softened, his senses widening to the intricate details woven into the living tapestry around him. The canopy thickened overhead, filtering the fading light into a mosaic of shifting greens and golds, where shadows played softly among the leaves. Bark textures became a language to be read, the rough ridges and smooth patches telling stories of seasons weathered, storms weathered, and quiet growth. The interplay of light and shadow traced delicate patterns along the trunks, as if the forest itself painted transient murals for those who cared to notice. He paused beside a towering oak, its bark cracked and furrowed like an ancient manuscript. Fingers brushed along the crevices, feeling the cool, rough surface beneath his touch. Tiny patches of moss clung persistently, cushioning the tree's base in a soft green mantle. Here and there, the delicate imprint of insect trails marked the bark's surface, an unseen world etched in slow, deliberate strokes. The forest's life pulsed quietly around him. A tawny owl, silhouetted against the darkening sky, sat motionless on a high branch, its wide eyes reflecting the faintest glimmers of twilight. Its stillness was profound, a sentinel watching over the unfolding dusk. Below, a rabbit darted swiftly through the underbrush, its movement a fleeting brushstroke of white and brown that disappeared into the shadows before the wanderer's gaze could fully settle. Each encounter deepened the sense of harmonious coexistence. The wanderer moved not as an outsider but as part of the forest's living rhythm, his breath mingling with the cool evening air, his heartbeat syncing with the subtle pulse of leaves and earth. The delicate rustling of ferns brushing together, the distant call of a songbird settling into its evening rest, the soft hum of insects waking to the night, all wove into a symphony of subtle sounds that filled the space between silence and sound. Finding a fallen log, draped thickly in emerald moss and dotted with tiny fungi, the wanderer lowered himself gently onto its cool surface. The wood was softened by years of decay, yet still held the shape of the tree it once was. As he settled, the scent of damp earth and decomposing leaves mingled with the faint sweetness of growing things. Around him, miniature ecosystems thrived in quiet complexity. Tiny plants unfurling delicate leaves, ants navigating invisible highways, and the soft glimmer of dew droplets clinging to spider silk. He closed his eyes briefly, allowing the forest's quiet energy to wash over him. The steady rhythm of life unfolded in layers, visible and hidden, audible and silent. It was a language without words, spoken through the slow growth of bark, the gentle sway of branches, the intricate dance of light and shadow. In this stillness, the wanderer felt a profound sense of peace, a belonging that transcended the boundaries of self and place. Opening his eyes, he watched as a leaf drifted down from above, caught in a gentle eddy of air before settling softly on the moss beside him. The moment was delicate and fleeting, yet rich with meaning, a reminder of the forest's ceaseless cycle of life and renewal. Nearby, a cluster of wildflowers released their subtle fragrance, a faint sweetness that mingled with the cool evening air. The forest around him seemed to breathe in unison with his own rhythm. Branches whispered softly as the breeze passed, carrying the faintest scent of pine and earth. The interplay of shadow and light deepened, casting the woods in hues of deep green and muted gold. The wanderer's footsteps had grown lighter still, each step a careful negotiation with the forest floor, mindful of the myriad lives entwined beneath his feet. A raven soared overhead, its dark silhouette cutting a graceful arc against the dimming sky. Its wings beat steadily, and the distant call echoed softly, a solitary note that blended seamlessly with the forest's evening chorus. The bird's presence was a reminder of the wildness threading through the quiet calm, a balance between stillness and motion, shadow and light. The trail, though narrow and winding, unfolded slowly beneath his feet, revealing subtle shifts in the landscape. Here, a patch of ferns opened like a verdant sea, their fronds swaying gently in the breeze. There, a cluster of mushrooms pushed upward from the soil, their caps glowing faintly in the twilight. The wanderer moved with deliberate care, attuned to the delicate rhythms that governed this world. Every moment was an invitation to delve deeper into the forest's mysteries, not through hurried exploration, but through patient observation and quiet presence. The intricate patterns of bark, the interplay of light and shadow, the gentle balance of life thriving within the undergrowth, all spoke to a profound interconnectedness. The forest was a living mosaic, each element part of a greater whole, each breath and movement woven into the fabric of existence. Time seemed to slow, measured not by the passing hours but by the slow unfolding of nature's stories. The wanderer found himself drawn into the subtle narratives inscribed in the landscape, the slow decay of fallen leaves nourishing the soil, the steady growth of moss covering stone and wood, the delicate dance of light filtering through leaves. Each detail was a verse in the forest's ongoing poem, a testament to patience, resilience, and quiet beauty. As darkness deepened, the forest's nocturnal life began to stir. Small creatures rustled softly in the underbrush, their movements cautious and fleeting. The scent of earth and pine grew richer, mingling with the cool breath of night. The wanderer remained still, a silent observer attuned to the delicate balance between visibility and shadow, sound and silence. In this shared stillness, the boundaries between human and forest blurred. The wanderer's presence became a thread woven seamlessly into the larger tapestry, a part of the intricate dance of life unfolding in the dim light. The forest's ancient energy flowed through him, grounding and renewing, a gentle reminder of the deep connections that bind all living things. The moss-covered log beneath him was a quiet sanctuary, a place to rest and absorb the forest's slow, deliberate rhythm. Around him, the whispering leaves and distant calls of creatures created a gentle chorus, a lullaby sung by the earth itself. The wanderer closed his eyes once more, letting the forest's calm wash over him, feeling the steady heartbeat of the woods beneath his skin. Here, in the heart of the whispering forest, time was measured not by clocks or calendars but by the slow unfolding of life, by the tender growth of leaves, the patient shaping of bark, the quiet passing of days into nights. The wanderer's journey was no longer simply a passage through space but a deeper immersion into the living pulse of the earth, a quiet communion born of stillness and attentive presence. As the stars began to appear faintly through gaps in the canopy, he rose from the log, feeling lighter and more connected. Each breath drawn was infused with the forest's essence, each step forward a continuation of the intimate dialogue begun in the shade of ancient trees. The trail ahead beckoned gently, its winding course promising further discovery and deepening harmony with the quiet life of the woods. Night settled softly over the whispering forest, weaving shadows among the ancient trunks and draping the canopy in a cloak of deep indigo. The last traces of twilight faded, leaving the woods bathed in a cool, muted glow. The gentle murmur of leaves intensified, as if the trees themselves had shifted into a quieter, more intimate conversation. The breeze carried subtle whispers, soft sighs that danced through the branches, stirring the forest's nocturnal breath. The wanderer moved slowly now, each step measured and deliberate, attuned to the shifting sounds and textures that defined the forest's nighttime transformation. The air had cooled, carrying the faint, earthy aroma of damp soil mingled with the delicate hint of pine resin and wild herbs. His coat, pulled snug against the chill, rustled softly as he adjusted his pace, becoming one with the rhythm of the woods under moonlight. Finding a sheltered nook beneath a cluster of intertwined branches, he settled quietly onto a bed of moss softened by time and shadow. The canopy above formed a cathedral of darkness punctuated by glimmers of starlight filtering through the leaves. Each pinprick of light was a silent sentinel, steady and distant, casting an ethereal glow that shimmered gently on the forest floor. The chorus of the forest at night unfolded around him, a symphony woven from the low, steady hum of insects, the occasional rustle of small creatures moving cautiously through underbrush, and the distant haunting call of an owl echoing through the stillness. These sounds interlaced with the whispering leaves, crafting a soundscape both alive and serene. The wanderer closed his eyes briefly, letting the forest's nocturnal melody wash over him, a balm of quiet and connection. As his senses sharpened in the darkness, he noticed the subtle movements that escaped the casual gaze. The flicker of a moth's wings catching a stray ray of moonlight, the glimmer of a beetle's shell as it traversed a fallen log, the gentle sway of ferns that caught the night breeze and whispered secrets in response. The forest was alive in ways that only the patient and attentive could perceive, its nocturnal life thriving beneath the cloak of darkness. Above, the stars traced slow arcs across the sky, their ancient light filtering through the branches and casting delicate patterns on the forest floor. The Milky Way stretched like a pale ribbon, a cosmic thread connecting earth and sky in a silent testament to time's vastness. The wanderer lifted his gaze, drinking in the celestial display, feeling the smallness of himself in the vastness, yet also the profound belonging that comes from being part of such an endless cycle. The air was cool and still, but alive with subtle energy. The forest's nocturnal rhythms pulsed quietly, a heartbeat felt rather than heard. The wanderer sensed the delicate balance between shadow and light, movement and stillness, presence and absence. In this liminal space, the forest's whisper seemed more profound, more intimate. A secret language carried on the wind, urging patience and reverence. His fingers brushed gently over the moss beneath him, cool and soft, a tactile connection grounding him in the moment. The moss bore the memory of countless nights like this, each layer a testament to the forest's enduring presence. Nearby, a cluster of stones glistened faintly under the starlight, their surfaces etched with the slow artistry of lichen growth, telling stories in patterns of pale greens and silvers. The wanderer's breath came slower, deeper, sinking with the forest's calm exhale. The cool air filled his lungs, carrying with it the subtle scents of earth and wood smoke, faint traces perhaps from a distant campfire, mingling with the pure essence of the woods. The gentle rustle of leaves above whispered encouragement to remain still, to listen more deeply, to become part of the night's unfolding narrative. Around him the forest seemed to breathe in delicate waves, the soft sway of branches, the flutter of wings, the quiet footsteps of creatures moving unseen. A pair of fireflies began their gentle dance nearby, their soft glimmers casting tiny orbs of light that flickered like stars brought to earth. They traced whimsical patterns through the air, illuminating the shadows with moments of fleeting brilliance. The wanderer's eyes followed their dance, entranced by the fragile beauty of their light against the dark backdrop. Time lost its rigid form here, expanding and contracting with the breath of the forest. Each moment was rich with presence, filled with the silent music of life unfolding beneath the night sky. The boundaries between self and forest blurred, replaced by a shared stillness that embraced all living things. As the night deepened, the forest's whispers grew softer, folding into the gentle hush that settled over the land. The owl's distant call repeated once more, a solitary note that resonated through the trees like a pulse of ancient wisdom. Somewhere nearby, a faint rustle suggested the cautious passage of a small mammal, its presence a reminder of the unseen lives thriving in the shadows. The wanderer leaned back against the mossy earth, feeling the cool touch of the night seep into his skin, the steady heartbeat of the forest echoing in his chest. He let the darkness enfold him, a soft cocoon of sound and shadow, fragrance and touch. The sky above, vast and infinite, stretched out in quiet majesty, while the forest beneath whispered its timeless lullaby. In this moment, the world beyond the woods seemed distant and unreal, a place of hurried footsteps and loud voices, far removed from the gentle cadence of leaves and stars. Here, wrapped in the forest's nocturnal embrace, time was measured not by clocks but by the slow unfolding of night's mysteries, the subtle shift of shadows, the delicate dance of light on leaf and stone, the whispered conversations carried on the breeze. The wanderer's thoughts quieted, surrendering to the profound calm that enveloped him. The forest's voice, once a murmur, now spoke clearly through the language of silence and presence. He felt the weight of the day lift, replaced by a gentle lightness born of deep connection and understanding. The night air carried a promise, the promise of renewal, of secrets held close and shared only with those patient enough to listen. The forest, with all its ancient wisdom, offered solace in the quiet dark, a sanctuary woven from the threads of shadow and starlight. The wanderer sat still, cradled by the night, feeling the warmth of day lingering faintly beneath his coat, the cool breath of evening threading through his breath. The chorus of the forest, soft, steady, alive, continued its gentle song, and he found himself wrapped in the tender embrace of this living world, suspended in a moment where earth and sky, shadow and light, past and present, met in quiet harmony. With the first pale light of dawn filtering softly through the branches, the forest began to stir anew, bathed in hues of gentle rose and gold. The whispering leaves, once hushed under the cloak of night, now shimmered with the fresh promise of morning. Rays of sunlight slipped through the canopy, casting slender beams that illuminated the dew-kissed moss and delicate petals of wildflowers, each droplet sparkling like a tiny prism capturing the day's first breath. Awakening beneath the ancient boughs, the wanderer felt the cool morning air mingle with the lingering warmth of earth and wood. The soft light wove through the trees, painting their trunks in bands of amber and shadow, revealing textures and colors previously hidden in the dimness. The forest exhaled gently, as if greeting the day with a slow, deliberate sigh, its pulse steady and calm. Rising from his resting place, the wanderer began the journey back along the winding trail, now transformed by the fresh light. The path that had been a whisper in the twilight now revealed itself in subtle clarity, The curve of roots beneath soft soil, the scattered stones smoothed by rain, the gentle sway of ferns brushing the edges. Each familiar element felt renewed, imbued with the soft glow of morning's embrace. As he moved, the forest's character subtly shifted with the dawn. The quiet murmur of nocturnal life gave way to the tentative stirrings of day. Birds called softly, their melodies weaving through the crisp air, and insects began their gentle hum, a delicate counterpoint to the rustle of leaves. The scent of pine and earth was fresh and invigorating, carrying the promise of growth and renewal. The wanderer's steps were light, each footfall a reverent touch upon the living earth. He paused often, drawn to the small wonders revealed in the morning light, the intricate patterns of veins on a leaf, the tender unfurling of a fern frond, the delicate shimmer of spider silk stretched between twigs. The forest's quiet mysteries unfolded slowly, inviting him to witness the unfolding of life's delicate rhythms. Along the trail, the soft rustle of movement caught his attention. A pair of deer emerged from the underbrush, their graceful forms outlined by the soft glow of dawn. They moved with cautious ease, untroubled by the wanderer's presence, embodying the serene harmony that pervaded the forest. Their quiet passage was a fleeting glimpse into the deeper balance of this place, a living testament to the coexistence of all beings beneath the whispering canopy. The light deepened, gilding the leaves with a luminous sheen, and the forest sounds grew fuller yet remained gentle. A chorus of life awakening, each voice woven into the greater song of the woods. The wanderer breathed in the cool, fragrant air, feeling a renewed sense of connection, as if the forest's quiet wisdom had settled softly within him. The winding trail led him toward the edge of the forest, where the trees thinned and the open sky stretched wide. Here, the morning sun spilled freely across the landscape, illuminating the valley below with a golden wash. The river, a silver thread, meandered through the terrain, reflecting the awakening sky. The scent of fresh grass and wildflowers filled the air, mingling with the distant hum of life beyond the woods. Stopping briefly, the wanderer absorbed the view, the vastness of the land, the gentle curve of the river, the shimmering dance of leaves in the morning breeze. The forest behind him remained a sanctuary, its shadows deepening even as the day unfolded. He felt a quiet gratitude for the time spent within its embrace, a sense of renewal born from the slow communion with its whispered secrets. As the trail carried him forward, the forest's lessons lingered, patience, presence, and the delicate balance of life. Each step was no longer just a movement through space but an integration of experience, a weaving of the forest's calm into the fabric of his being. The journey home was marked not by haste but by a deepened understanding, a gentle rhythm that resonated within his heart. The sun climbed higher, warming the earth, and the sounds of the day grew stronger. The calls of birds, the rustle of small animals, the distant murmur of human life beginning anew. Yet the wanderer carried with him the forest's quiet voice, a whispered wisdom that would endure beyond the trees and trails. As he moved away from the woods, the path behind remained unchanged, a silent invitation awaiting his return. The ancient trees stood tall, their leaves vibrant and alive, guardians of a timeless realm where the rhythm of the earth was measured by the slow unfolding of nature's cycles. The wanderer's steps grew lighter still, his spirit touched by the tranquil grace of the forest. The lessons learned in shadow and light, in stillness and movement, became part of his story, an enduring connection to a world where time is held not by clocks, but by the heartbeat of the earth itself. Resting beneath the oak's spreading branches one last time before leaving, he felt the pulse of the land beneath his fingers, the cool strength of bark and leaf. The forest's gentle embrace lingered, a quiet sanctuary woven into the fabric of his being. As the day unfolded, the memory of this place settled within him, a source of peace and renewal to carry forward. In the soft glow of morning, the whispering forest remained timeless and patient, a place where the traveler's heart had found a gentler rhythm. And as he stepped beyond the trees, the quiet promise of return whispered softly on the breeze, drawing him back to the land where earth and soul meet in quiet harmony.